All right. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us all here today. Today's shiur should be Le'ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gavril Tzvi, and for Zaidi, Reb Shmuel ben Yosef Dov HaKohen, and B'schos l'Refuah Shalema Bekarov, Mishalom ben Sarachal, Miriam Basara, and Yair Yeshia ben Chaya Atara. Today, we are on page 131 in the Ora Vigdor, for those who are following along, and we are continuing the fourth preface to Bitachon. Now, we understand there's five pieces of the puzzle that we need to have in order to have an absolutely perfect structure to understand how Bitachon works and to build up that muscle memory and to become a full 100% baal Bitachon. This fourth preface that we started talking about was obedience. And what we were talking about is the idea that it's very difficult to go to Hashem and ask Hashem for stuff, to daven to Him, when we're not complying with the rules and regulations that He put forth in front of us, right? It's very difficult for Hashem to say, oh, I'm so willing to help you out over here in your time of need, when I've asked you for some stuff and you haven't come through for me, God says. So we're going to continue this conversation over here. And just so you understand, we spoke about getting to that point, that it's not an all or nothing kind of thing. Bitachon is a milestone concept. It's a ladder. We have to work on ourselves and get better and better at it every single day. Rav Av said that just because you don't have 100% full Bitachon doesn't mean that you're not a baal Bitachon. You do get a mitzvah even for listening and paying attention a little bit and having a little bit of trust, a little bit more trust. And every single time you climb that ladder of trust, you get better and better at it, your mitzvahs get bigger and bigger. Now, we're going to continue this, and we're going to finish this piece over here, the fourth one. It says like this: if you do Hashem's will, He will show His concern for you by nullifying the kinds of negative forces that are against you. And what he says over here is, for instance, it gives an example, obviously not exactly, but it gives an example. For instance, if you don't bite back at your friend, you don't fight back, you don't talk back, you don't do nekama, so to speak, then Hashem might protect you from a sting. He uses the metaphor of a bee. If you don't bite your friend, Hashem won't send a bee to bite you. Or if you don't bite your friend, Hashem will make sure a bee doesn't bite you. And that's just metaphorically speaking for the idea that if you hold yourself back from doing something bad, Hashem will also make sure to hold back in the future something that you're supposed to get. But Hashem said, no, you persevered. That time, I'm going to help you out this time. And he goes further to say, Amar HaKasav, Betach b'Hashem v'asei tov. Trust in Hashem and do good. In addition to trusting Hashem, it also says that we have to do good. We can't just say, I have trust and then do whatever we want. And so, Betach b'Hashem v'asei tov is, you need to have first your trust and then you have to continue to do good. David HaMelech said that the reason it says Betach b'Hashem, first trust and then do good, not first do good and then trust in Hashem, is because regardless of whatever goes on, you have to trust in Hashem. And then once you have that trust in Hashem, you can go ahead and do that and do good. It's kind of like you do what Hashem wants first, ask questions later kind of concept, right? Hashem asked you to do it, you just do it. Now, Shechon Eretz Re'ei Emunah, dwell in the world, but only on the condition that you wish to nourish yourself with faith. And that's what he's saying is a kind of not skula, but the idea that we see that long life is gifted to those people who have that trust and faith in Hashem. Because he says over here, Shechan Eretz Re'ei Emunah, dwell in this world, but nourish yourself with faith. And it seems like it says that if you nourish yourself with true trust and faith in Hashem, that you will have a longer life. V'amar, and further says, Toiv Hashem l'koivel nefesh t'deshenu. Hashem is good to those who hope to Him, that is, who trust in Him, and the soul seeks out Hashem, that you're always wanting to yearn to do better for Hashem. And based on these words, you might think that Hashem might be good to everybody. But at the very end, the Chazal add to it that you have to also seek Hashem. That's what he's saying over here. You have to seek out Hashem. That you can't just have blind faith and trust in Hashem. You also have to do what Hashem wants. And seeking Hashem means doing His mitzvahs, understanding the world better, seeing what Hashem created and stuff like that. But one who trusts in the Creator but is rebellious against Him, Kama hu sachal, how foolish is he? V'kama data chalusha v'karasa, and how weak is his mind and understanding ki hu roya, for he sees that in human relationships, a behavior pattern that is now violating is going to be negatively consequences against him. He says, consider the situation in which a person is granted a privilege over a certain matter. Give an example. Like, we live in Tom's River. Everyone's got a pool, right? Your friend who doesn't have a pool says, hey, can I use your pool? So you say, yeah, sure, no problem. Go use my pool. And on one condition, though. As long as you don't park in the driveway. I don't like when people park in my driveway. Just park on the street. Okay, no problem. Also, I come in and out of the house. My wife has to come in and out of the house. Just don't park in the driveway. Use my pool. Gesundheit. This guy goes, uses the pool, and he parks in the driveway. Do you think I want to let the guy continue using my pool when he deliberately, didn't listen to me? I asked him not to park in the driveway, and he went and parked in the driveway, and he had an oil leak. My whole pavement got ruined. That's what it comes to Hashem. It's the same idea. You can't expect Hashem to want to continue letting to use his pool when you're parking in his driveway, when he specifically asks you not to. But when that kind-hearted man, the person who lets you use the pool, finds out that you're parking in the driveway and you're doing other stuff that he might not like, maybe he says, tidy up after yourself. Make sure there's no wrappers and garbage left over at the pool when you're done. And you leave it a mess. I don't want to let the guy use my pool again. Right? So that's the idea that he's saying over here. And so if word of the violation of the order reaches the benefactor, if I find out that the person's leaving a mess in the pool and I explicitly asked him not to, even if I didn't ask him not to, I said you can use the pool, but you're leaving it a mess, and that's not something I would want, you have to understand when it comes to Hashem, it's the same idea. You're asking Hashem, hey Hashem, can I use your pool? Can I have kindness? Can I have love? Can I have parnasa? Can I have gesund? Can I have children? Nachas in this world, happiness? Hashem says, of course you could do it. And you go ahead and Hashem starts giving you all those benefits, and then what do? You leave a mess all around. You don't listen to him. Not only in the things that he doesn't tell you, which you kind of self-explanatory to be careful from, but the things that he explicitly tells you. He says, keep my mitzvos, refrain from doing my averos, and you go and you just don't even listen. And so what do you expect of Hashem at that point? You want to expect him to let you use his pool? It's not going to happen. And he continues over here. He says, and Hashem said it openly, Hashem stated openly that a person who disobeys him will not deserve to be called one who trusts in Hashem. And that's not called trust. If a person thinks he can do whatever he wishes and still get Hashem to do whatever his wishes are, that's a false kind of trust. Don't think you can say, of course I trust in Hashem, or expect Hashem to be good to you when you're deliberately not even listening to him, you're ignoring him, even worse, you're just doing all kinds of averos afterwards. He will be like those of whom it is written in the pasuk, what is the hope of the false person when he does dishonest things? How can the hypocrite expect favor from Hashem if he himself is dishonest? And the pasuk continues, for Hashem will take his life from him. If you're asking Hashem for life, for kindness, for love, for gifts, but you're not even doing the bare minimum. Even you are doing the bare minimum, but you're offsetting that with some averos or something. You can't expect Hashem to want to give you shafa, bracha, hatzlacha every single day if that's the way you're acting. The next, and the text also continues in the pasuk, Hatzakasa Yishmakel, will Hashem listen to his cry when he needs it? When he starts hurting, and he after all he's had the good times, the good days, and he didn't listen to Hashem, and now all of a sudden he's hurting and he starts asking Hashem for his help. You think Hashem is going to want to sit there and listen? Will you steal, murder, commit adultery, and swear falsely? And it says further, and then you will come and stand before me in this house. You're going to come to Hashem. What's going to happen is, you're going to come Yom Kippur. You're going to come to Hashem and ask Hashem for life. You're going to ask Hashem for health, for parnas, for all the things that you want. You're going to cry. You're going to sit there the whole day. You're going to fast. And you're going to ask Hashem to please open up his hands and give you. And what happened the whole year? What did you do the whole year for him? You only once a year you come, you ask, you think everything's going to be okay? And what happens after Yom Kippur? Right? After Yom Kippur, you did your part, you davened to Hashem, goodbye. I did my crying, I felt good, I felt connected. What happened right away, Matzah Yom Kippur? You're done. You're over with it. By the time Sukkot rolled around, you totally forgot about what happened. And so that's the point he's making over here in the fourth preface of Bitachon. That Hashem wants to see you have obedience. He doesn't need you at this very point. He doesn't need you to withhold that. He wants you to withhold all the mitzvahs. But show Hashem that you're trying. Show Hashem that you care. Show Hashem that when you're asking for things, you're doing the very best you can to fulfill what Hashem wants. And if you do what Hashem wants, then Hashem will want to more eagerly help you as well for whatever it is you need. Thank you, everyone, for joining me here today, and I love you all.